been sitting here for a long time, reading all the warning and the danger that I don't have to telling everybody how it's gonna be. Soon come the day, the bus is gonna blow in your face, But I don't have the gift of the prophecy, telling everybody how it's gonna be. Passing wrong for right and right for wrong. People only stand for that for just so long. On fire, sparkling evil blaze and burning high. We're on every gift of prophecy, telling everybody how it's gonna be. You go passing on right and right wrong. People only stand for that for just so long. I don't have the gift of the prophecy, telling everybody how it's gonna be. There's a wild catching in the whip of the wind. It's the conversation like rain is never been. This is on fire. On fire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Night with Maureen Televisions. Oh, I have a fan in my face. And I'm so happy to say that, hi, Anton. Anton, you're in there. Oh, there you are. Hi, Anton. Hi, Doug. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
Hi, Mel. Hi, Charose. Can you see, Anton, how I have a little picture of you? A still picture of you right now. But I have Anton on here with me, and I'm so excited. He's an author of Divine Living. And this is it's all about Anton tonight. See, Anton, now you can see me. Yeah. Anton, say hello. And I think I'm going to be able to bring Anton in as hours of trials and tribulation. I think it's not the most glorifying, but I think I can bring you in on video. But in a moment, so let's give a clap. Let's give Anton the clap. Okay, Anton, now you see my personality, huh? So here we go. This is Anton. Anton, you can see there. There you have it. Anton, hi.
Hello. Am I on the screen?
You're on the screen, but I don't have you. I lost you on video. The video. So if you want to go off the video, that's fine.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I can switch off my video then.
Yes, you sure can. But let me tell you, everybody, he looked really good. Anton looked fantastic. Maybe I can figure it out when I take a little break. Well, not to stay on for hours. And what time is it there for you, Anton?
It is 4 a.m.
Well, it's the time that you usually rise to the occasion. And Anton, that I really appreciate. Anton's, well, I'm talking to Anton from Africa. Well, he's in Africa, I'm not. And watch this, Anton. This would be another cool thing. So now it's kind of like I'm again talking with you. And Anton has a brand new book out, Anton, don't you?
That's correct. I do, Maureen. It's been out for just over a month now, I think. Yes, since the 1st of June.
And, you know, I have not had a chance to read it, but I will be reading it. However, I did listen to an interview, fantastic interview, by the way. Who was that?
Oh, thank you very much.
Who was that?
Well, you better read it. I would expect that you do.
I will. I'll do. I will absolutely.
There will also be a quiz and a test on it later.
Okay. Well, I'll be sure to be. I'll do my best because it is like you said, 400 pages, right?
Yes, just under 400 pages.
Big print. Like big print. I'm looking forward to it. And Anton's going to be on August 2nd at Psychic Access, talkradio.com as well. I can't get enough of Anton. And so, but I did listen to the interview that you had with, who was that? If you want to tell everybody, it was a great interview.
That was with a guy called Philip Meriton. He's a lawyer and a philosopher, and he's also an author. It's actually funny, we had a laugh about it, I think, before or after the show, that he said to me that, because I haven't read his books, so it was actually more a joke on his side than on mine, because he said that our books are very similar, that, you know, what the message in our books are very similar, because he also wrote a book, I think it's called Heaven at the End of Science, or something like that. So yeah, he has this radio show, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun to talk to him. We basically talked about worldviews and how worldview affects how we live our lives and how we view the world, and basically all his his show's called Conversations Beyond Science and Religion. So it's basically searching for solutions or answers or a different worldview beyond the traditional religious or scientific viewpoint, to somehow find a place where these two things come together and we can find some common ground, because that's where the future lies.
Yes, you know, so I'm really glad I listened to that interview, because it gave me some more, because I have not read your book. I was really, how am I going to say? I was really into it, because, and it was I think it was an hour long. Was it something like that? An hour long, I think.
Yes.
Yes, and I really feel that you brought up some. Well, first of all, Anton, I'm going to ask you, how long had you been in the process of making this book?
It actually several years, Maureen, because. But basically how the book started out was that I increasingly felt the need to give more information to my clients, because, you would know, the way we work, often people are very limited as far as how much time they can spend with you. And so it's very difficult to share a lot of important information with people in a very short time. And especially, in the past few years, I've been working with a lot of people who have gone through some or other profound spiritual awakening. And the problem that a lot of people have is they have the spiritual awakening, and then where do they go from there? Once the dust settles, where do you go from there? So, and I was getting frustrated because I always had to refer them to other people's books. And then I always had to refer them to like a list of 10 or 15 books, because none of these books had all this stuff in one book. So I would have to like cover different aspects of what I need to focus on, depending on who the client was, to refer them to different books and videos and stuff. So then I said, you know what, I need to put everything together into one book. And that's how it started out. So it's a very strange book in a sense, because, well, not strange, but it's unusual, because normally these kinds of books are either very highly theoretical or philosophical, So you would have this whole book that's all about the science or the research, and it's all very theoretical, deep discussions of deep philosophical issues, whatever. Or then you have the very practical self-help book, like, 10 ways to do this and 5 exercises for this and tips for this and guidelines for that. And my book sort of combines all of that together, because it's a bit of science, it's a bit of philosophy, and a lot of stuff all together in one.
Well, I must say, I mean, I've been waiting for you to. Anton is also the. What would you say? You're the chief editor, psychic blogger. What is your title?
Just editor. Well, content editor.
Well, content editor, but that's a pretty big thing. At psychicbloggers.com, and also Anton, he was one of the original co-hosts when I was back in the day. Now we can say that. And
here we go again with back in the day. You always make me feel so old. No. It's a good thing that I'm not on camera tonight.
Well, I might be able to get you on if I take a.
Oh no!
No, because Anton looks fantastic, everybody. I'm not kidding. He is looking fantastic. You're looking very good, Anton. But I want to tell you, you're right. Everything you're. I always thought, God, you have so much stuff, so much insight, and I'm so glad that I was so happy that you completed this book. I'm sure there's going to be more to come. But why did you pick Divine Living? Why did you pick that title?
Wow, I can't remember how I got to that. Look, I knew I wanted to write a book that I could give to my clients and my students, that I could recommend to somebody and say, you know what, here's the book. Use it to fix your life. So, in a sense, it is a lifestyle book, but it's a spiritual lifestyle. It's a lifestyle book from a spiritual perspective. And yes, I suppose it's the best way I can describe the lifestyle that most of my clients end up with once I'm done with them. Hopefully, touch wood. They end up divine life. Look, it's partly that, and also it's about recognizing the divine within. So it's all about the basic premise of the book is you need 3 things to have a divine life. And a divine life is basically having heaven on earth, no matter what your circumstances are. Doesn't matter how bad things are for you. Doesn't matter what's happened to you in the past. This is accessible to absolutely anybody. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be the smartest person or the most educated person or the most successful person or whatever. Anybody can have access to a divine life. Because we are of divine origins. We are spiritual beings having a physical life experience. None of us came here in the first place to come and suffer or have a life of hardship and deprivation and suffering and all these things. All this negative stuff that we experience in this human condition that we refer to as suffering is all man-made. It's man-made stuff that causes suffering, and man-made ideas and beliefs that cause suffering. So we didn't come here for that. And the thing is, we've all forgotten that. We all forget that for a period in our lives, which is something that I talk about in the book, about the divine disconnect. But basically the premise is you need 3 things for a divine life. You need to have a spiritual awakening, which is a reconnection with the divine self within, because we're all spiritual beings and we carry the divine within us. We are a reflection of we are made in the image of God or the source or the divine, whatever you choose to call it. So you need to have a reconnection with your divine self and a realignment with your divine self. And once you have that, you rediscover, you reawaken to your soul purpose in this life and also your life calling. Now, soul purpose refers to the soul journey that you want to have while you're in this physical condition you're on earth. It's the things that you want to experience in order to experience soul growth and spiritual expansion. So it's basically, it's the knowledge or the insight and experience, the spiritual depth that you hope to take back with you when you return to spirit. So it's basically you've come to gather certain spiritual experiences or soul growth in this lifetime, and one day when you kick the bucket, this is what you're going to take with you. And then at the same time, you also have a life calling or a life purpose, but I prefer life calling because otherwise you confuse it with soul purpose. Life calling, which is your legacy that you intend to leave behind when you leave one day. When you return to your spiritual home, what are you going to leave behind? And it doesn't have to be major. You don't have to build a church or write a book or start some sort of charity fund or whatever. You don't have to do anything major. We all have a life calling, and I believe we plan all of this before we come here, and we all have to fulfill our life calling to make it a successful trip. Otherwise, you return back home empty-handed because you don't take anything with you, because there's been very little soul growth, and also you leave very little behind. And when you live like that, it's basically because you lived an ego-attached life. Because we all have the two, almost, you could say, the two sides of the coin as far as our existence is or our consciousness goes. We have our spiritual side and our human side, which is basically our divine self or higher self, together with our ego self or the material self. Now, unfortunately, the way things are nowadays, because of our scientific and technological development, we've lost complete touch with the divine within. Most people have. And therefore, the material self has now, especially in the past 100 years, the material self has become extremely dominant. The ego has become extremely dominant. And you see it in the way we live. And you see it also in the people that we worship nowadays. You know, I call them the false idols of our modern civilization. There's this whole myth that your life amounts to nothing if you are not rich, famous, or somehow highly successful, or beautiful, you know, very attractive, or whatever. These are all these ego things. Our status symbols, our possessions, our material possessions, and our appearance, our physical appearance. These things are what we are obsessed with. And these things are all the things that boost the ego. It's all about the ego. And unfortunately, because of that, a lot of people don't have their spiritual awakening very early in life. Because I believe that we all will have a spiritual awakening at some point. Because it's meant to be that way. It's destined to be that way. You see how you must stop me if I'm going on and on, eh?
No,
because
no.
I can just keep talking all night.
No, but Anton, I did want to ask you something. Someone asked you, well, I don't know if it was a reasonable question, and I said, Anton is in the chat room. She said, so.
Please shoot.
So Anton, you're in there too, guest says, so Anton is not into material stuff, so is he giving his book away? And I said, Anton's in the chat room, ask him, but everybody else watching this on, excuse me, Anton, everybody else watching this on demand, I'm talking to people in the chat, by the way, I'm not crazy. But anyway, I said, but I think it is reasonable to be able to pay for your bills and such. You can address that. But before that, Anton, I wanted to ask you, hi, Georgia. I wanted to ask you, what the thing you say, which I really loved, is, you know, what's that same old thing? We're spiritual beings having a human, how does it go the other way? People always say, you know, that. I heard it from...
Yes, we're spiritual beings having a physical, human...
No, they don't say physical. They always
it's
say...
not the way around.
I like the way you present it, because, and I noticed that when I was listening to the interview. Do you know what I mean? Most people, it's a cliche. You hear it all the time. It's all, I don't know who that quote is from, but I know that when you said it, they don't use physical. They say, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Is that how they usually put it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, traditionally, especially from a religious point of view, or from the general world view, it's always been a case of, you know what, we are human beings born on this planet, and then we somehow, you find this in many world religions, we somehow have to strive to become more spiritual. So we have to, in some religions, we have to suffer, or we have to we have to really work very hard and labor and suffer and all these things, or live a very limited life, like for instance in some religions what they call asceticism, where you have this limited life, like you eat, you fast half the time, and you give up all your material possessions, and you don't go into relationships, that kind of thing. Now there's a place for all of that depending on what your life calling is. Some people do have a life calling to become a monk or a nun or whatever, or a yogi or whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's not that I'm trying to diminish anybody's religion. It's just that it depends on what your life calling is, but we are not here as physical beings trying to become more spiritual, so that one day when we die, hopefully we will somehow, or before we die, or when we die, we will somehow find enlightenment. It doesn't work that way around. We come here as spiritual beings for a physical experience. It's the other way around. There is a spiritual component to what we're doing, and that's our sole purpose. You see, how I see the Earth reality, or our life here on planet Earth. Planet Earth is like a huge adventure camp, like a playground, a holiday resort.
I love that.
And we have a life plan before we come. While we are in spirit, we plan this life experience. Look, there are other dimensions, other realities, we have different stuffs going on, but that's not our concern right now. Our concern right now is we are here in this physical reality. That's the other thing I have sometimes with people that are overly spiritual about everything, because we did not come here for a solely spiritual experience. We did not come to Earth to be spiritual. We already were that before. We came here for the physical side of things. So we come to this adventure camp, and part of the deal is, okay, you make your life plan, but part of the deal that you sign up for is, look, if you're going to come on this trip, you have to agree to accept the fact that you won't remember everything. It doesn't make sense for you to remember everything, because if we have to know everything fully, if we have to have full insight into our spiritual origins and where we come from in the spiritual realm, then this existence here doesn't make sense anymore. It's like going to a magic show and then the magician shows you how he does all the tricks. You understand? It does. Exactly. The whole process doesn't make sense anymore. You might as well just not go. So therefore we sign up and we agree and say it's fine. We'll come and we won't know everything, but we do have limited access to it, because we, like I say in my book as well, we like Clark Kent, Superman.
Right. Yeah.
We come to Earth and we agree to be Clark Kent for a while, to give up our spiritual superpowers, because we want to feel like what it's like to be Clark Kent. Okay, and we come here with a life plan, with a life calling and a soul purpose. Or it's like Harry Potter. Harry Potter and his friends are not allowed to do magic while they are on holiday at home. When they're away from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, they're not allowed to do any magic while they're among the muggles. So it's the same kind of thing. We come here to Earth to have this fantastic physical, sensual experience. And therefore we're not supposed to sit around and meditate all day and be all spiritual and airy-fairy. But at the same time, we're also not supposed to be 100% ego-bound and obsessed with our material possessions and our hairstyles and our whatever. That's what divine living is about. Divine living is about striking a balance between those two things, because you've got a soul purpose and a life calling, and you have to deal with both. And that's where the balance comes in. You have to have a balance of both, but not as two separate things. That's the mistake we're making with our modern worldview. We've separated the spiritual from the material. And that's what Philip and I also talked about, is that, people go to work. The average person goes to work from 9 to 5 during the day, and they're being totally material, totally scientifically minded or technologically minded. They switch off completely the spiritual side of their nature, and then they become these spiritual beings in the evening or on weekends. Like I call them the weekend warriors. On the weekend, you're spiritual, you go to church or temple, or you go to your mediumship development circle or whatever the case may be, but you don't talk about it at work. It's not part of your life. It's a separate, it's almost like a secret part of your life, you know. So we've driven a wedge between the spiritual and the material world, or the scientific world. And instead of building bridges, we've been building walls, especially the past 100 years. And that's what most people are yearning for. That's why most people feel this sense of what I call the divine discontent. Most people today in modern civilization feel discontented. People feel lost. People feel a sense of having no meaning in their life, not sure why they're here. And the thing is, science keeps telling us, not all of science, but most of science keeps telling us, look, your life has no meaning. The universe has no purpose. The universe is a random accident. It happened through a big bang. There's no God, there's no spirit, there's no nothing. Your life is just a random accident. You're just something that evolved out of a little worm, and basically you'll return to dust. So, and people have this, you see, in the old days, we used to have different religious beliefs. People had religion, and the real life sort of took a second place to religion. Religion was your main thing. No matter what, I mean, whether you Chinese or Native American, all these different nationalities and countries and races had, their different religions. But of course, in today's society, everything ruled by Newtonian science, dominated by Newtonian technology, we've lost touch with that. So people have this longing for meaning in their lives. And that's where they will find it, is to be reminded that they're actually spiritual beings.
Right.
And it's like Harry Potter that got a letter to tell him, you know what, you were born a magician. Your parents were magicians. There's more to you than meets the eye.
Right. You know, Anton, I think this is real important, but Jim asked something. I know you explained it maybe before, but I thought maybe it might be a good thing. He's asking, because I liked this when I heard the interview. Let me get to it. Jim's asking, Anton, are you saying that, and this is good because I know that we said it, but maybe again, are you saying that we are, just lost it. Hold on. Who are you? Anton, are you saying that our spiritual beings make a life plan before we enter the human experience? Yeah, so he does.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. On the spiritual guidance that I received, this is what I know. There's no way I can prove it to you or justify it or anything like that, but this is my belief. This is what I've come to believe through personal life experience, through various ways that I've come to this conclusion, and also from what I've seen with my clients. I do believe that we plan our life before we come. And like I say, you see how a lifetime works. If you think of the earth as this big playground or this holiday resort. Now, this adventure camp called Earth, or this holiday resort, it's like, I'm sure you guys also have time sharing. I think it's an American concept.
Well, actually, my dad,
We've got,
yes.
You buy share in a holiday place,
Right.
and you can go 1 week of the year or whatever.
Right. And then, yes.
So we all have time to share in Earth. From the spiritual perspective, while we're in spirit, we all have time to share in Earth. So some of us are here in human experience, and we're keeping things going down here, okay, from a human perspective. So you plan your life like you would plan a holiday trip. So you have like an itinerary. You know what, when I get down there, I want to do this, that, and the other. I want to go do sightseeing over there, and I want to go do shopping over here, and I want to try this experience and that place, and so on. So it's not all 100% planned, because that's not how you plan a holiday. Unless I suppose you're very obsessive compulsive. I suppose some people do plan their holiday in every minute detail, but it usually doesn't even work out that way in any case. So you plan your trip with certain highlights, like an itinerary, a list of things that you want to do, and those things are what I believe is what is predestined in our lives. Because you see, Maureen, what I could never understand in working with my clients, why is it that some things just happen to us beyond our control? Things that come on your life, nobody saw it coming. It comes out of the blue. It happens to you. It's usually very major life events, usually life-changing events, and usually stuff that's completely beyond your control. But at the same time, I've also seen how people's daily choices and decisions that they make shape their reality and how it creates their destiny, it creates their future. What you decide and choose today is where you will be a year or two from now. So I couldn't understand, how do you bring these two? And I mean, this is a debate that's been going on for centuries, destiny versus free will. And that's the problem you would also know that we often have with our clients, is that they don't always understand that most of what happens to them in their lives is what they've created for themselves. It's ego creations. It's things that they create and attract to their lives. But at the same time, there are things that you cannot control. And I find my work, I don't know about you, but I find that often these predestined things are things that I cannot see for people. When I do readings, I don't see those things.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So,
Jim has another good question. I guess I'm interrupting you, but you know how I am. We talked last week for 4 hours, and it would seem like an hour. But I'm sorry. But Jim had another. Jim, I mean, there's questions coming out here, and they're not the ones that are silly or misleading or whatever. They're good intentional questions. Jim asks, Anton, in what state, meaning of our state of being, are we when we are making our life plan prior to and for our human experience? Do you follow that question? And what kind of mood or state, the state like that, state of place of,
Well, we are in our original state, which is the spiritual state or the spiritual condition. And what it is exactly, I wouldn't know. Like I said, we have limited knowledge of where we come from. So, I mean, these are questions that nobody would be able to answer for you. No, absolutely nobody in the world would be able to answer that question. But we come from some sort of original state, whether it's energy, a source, or light. I believe it's just a different. It's just a different dimension that a different state of a higher state, an altered state of. And I mean, we are still state in a sense. We just be expressing that condition, that original spiritual condition that we come from. It's being expressed currently in a physical human form.
Right. Exactly. I think Jim got, yeah. Your view of this, I really connected with when I listened to this, because it's so clear for me when you say we come here, and that means we are, and I'm with you on this, and I'm not talking. I'm always saying, and everybody maybe not, everybody knows me here, but I don't believe in anything. All I know is what I know, and I. It's not that I don't want to have beliefs, but I know that there's some things, how can you put them in belief form? So I'm open to things, I'm skeptical to things. But I do know, with what you say about, I do know that we were created, and I don't have a problem saying God at my age, you guys. I used to in my 30s. God, I call God, okay? So I was raised Catholic. But so I'm going to call God, call it whatever you want. But I do feel that it talks about we were created in His image. We are spiritual beings before we came into bodies. There's all there's to it. Now, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying that I have a knowing. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. But when you're talking about how that, it makes so much sense to why we come into this, in our unperfect world, basically, because we're not living in a perfect world. Everybody's sorry to say. Sometimes which would be nice, right? But we don't. But we are here to do things and to experience, even though we're spiritual beings, even though we're respectable to the fact of coming here to do, the way you said it, I heard you say it before. It's very important. Spiritual beings, it's not like, we look up at all the spiritual people, all the spiritual ones that they don't need to make money. And there's one person here going, I don't know if you're reading, Anton, about money stuff, or why are you charging money for this and doing that. And the thing is, bless her heart, his heart, but come on. The fact of it is, spiritual beings needing to learn how to be in the physical energy, and that is gaining so much insight so they can go back collectively or whatever, and when they're ready, and they'll leave something behind here, like something that made a difference to into the physical world here, but they'll go back with so much information to collaborate with everybody else and make it an even more spiritual. I don't know how to say more spiritual in the containment, I guess, or maybe that's a bad word. They'll just gather more just from being in our position. So it's not like they're way up in a pedestal, spiritual beings, right? Because we should be. But it's just as important for spiritual beings to come and have our experience in the physical world here.
Yes, Maureen, we've come to experience a lot of stuff in the physical form, and what this might come as a shock to some people. Look, we definitely come to have fun. I think that's sort of the overriding thing. Is like we really come, but the fun is not. It's not like riding on a roller coaster kind of fun. It's the kind of fun that it's the excitement, the thrill of being in physical form, and to be able to live this human life. You see, part of the fun that we come from is to work, is to create and to work and to be constructive in what we do here. Part of the fun is to be an architect and erect, design and build these, or an engineer and build these buildings, or to be a computer programmer and to develop the software that makes this holiday resort of ours run better, because when the next generation comes, there will be something better for them when they arrive here to have more fun with. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So work is part of the fun physical experience. That's where a lot of people, look, I've got a whole very long chapter on the whole concept of manifesting and the law of attraction, which is being tossed around by so many people, by get rich quick gurus and self-help people and whatever. And for a lot of people who go to those seminars and do those courses or buy those books and stuff, the whole process of manifesting works not at all, or it works in a very limited way. They get limited results. And there's one simple reason for that, and that is you cannot manifest an abundant and awakened life without a spiritual foundation. That is the key to successful manifesting. So that's where a lot of people get it wrong, because they seem to think that, okay, the law of attraction, I'm going to sit back in my garden under the tree, I'm going to kick out, put my feet up, and I am going to manifest all this abundance, all this prosperity. The money is just going to fall out of the air. Everything is just going to come to me. I don't have to work. I don't have to plan. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to take any responsibility in life. Everything is just going to come to me. It will just happen to me because I believe this and this is how it will be. But not one thought is given to, but what am I going to do with all this money? What is it for? To buy stuff to stroke your own ego with? Or is it to make the world a better place? What is your life calling? Is that your calling, to sit under a tree somewhere and manifest? You see, that's all the questions you need to ask. The law of attraction and the law of creation are spiritual laws. They are not material laws. And that's where a lot of people have gone off the rails. Because you see, from my experience and from what I've seen with many people all over the world, is that yes, we did not come to suffer hardship. Those are man-made things. We came here to have an amazing physical experience. Now, for you to have an amazing physical experience, you need certain things. I mean, you need to have clothes, because otherwise we get cold. And you need to have food, and you need to have a roof over your head. And these days you need a car, and you need a computer, and things like that. Yeah, sure, you need those things. Because without those things, you cannot accomplish your life calling. Let's say your life calling is to... Well, Maureen, in your case, your part of your life calling is to do this show.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to present the show every weekend if you don't have an internet service provider, if you don't have a computer and a webcam,
Right.
you don't have decent clothes to wear and some makeup to put on, etc., etc., etc. So you need these things. If you think it from that perspective, these are not really luxuries. These are things you need to do what you need to do to accomplish your life calling, so that you leave something behind one day for a future generation, because you're helping to make the world a better place. And therefore, these things, if you approach it from the right, if you believe that you are supposed to do this, the right things and the right people will come across your way. That's what the law of attraction is. You will attract all the things that you need to be able to fulfill your soul purpose and your life calling. Now, you see, most people are unconscious creators. I call them either the sinners or the survivors. The survivors are the people that are spiritually not awakened. They haven't had a spiritual awakening. They're still in the state of divine disconnect. And because of that, because the thing is, because we're spiritual beings, remember, we Clark Kent and Harry Potter, right? So even though Harry, when he goes on holiday, he's not allowed to do magic, he still is a magician. And Clark Kent is still Superman, even though he pretends to be just a journalist at whatever that newspaper was. So you come here with the ability to manifest, to create. You brought that ability with you because you needed to accomplish your soul purpose and life calling. Now, the unconscious, spiritually unconscious or unawakened person still has that power. They just don't realize it. So they're busy creating every day and attracting and manifesting with just the basic stuff that they need. Those are usually the people that keep telling you, oh, I'm so poor and I'm struggling and my life is a hell, because they're not aware of what they're supposed to be doing here. And if they were more aware, they would have been better off attracting the things they need to accomplish that. So they basically just cover their basic needs. And they struggle through life from day to day, just attracting the basic stuff that they need for survival. So they're the survivors. And then the other unconscious crowd is what I call the sinners, for the lack of a better term. And the way I just explain them in the book is like, that you should know this from the Catholic tradition, the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
If you think about the 7 deadly sins, now look, I don't remember all of them. I don't know them by heart, but I know it's things like greed, sloth, lust. Come, Maureen, help me out. What else is there?
Drunkenness.
Anger, things.
No, I know.
If you look at the 7 deadly sins, they are all things that have to do with excess and with the ego. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by an unconscious creator that is a sinner is that, or not a person that creates consciously, but only creates for him or herself, and for the ego and for their own material welfare and for their own luxury, wanting to be better than others and wanting to have more than others, and wanting to send the world to hell because I don't need anybody because I've got so much money and I'm so famous or I'm so beautiful or whatever. That's the only sin that I know. There's no other sin in the world. That's the only sin that I know, is to live a life like that, an ego-driven life. That's all about me, myself, and I. And therefore, those people, they can also only manifest up to a point. Because, if you look at the average greedy person, how many happy, greedy people do you know?
A lot.
Might be temporarily happy if they just made a lot of quick buck again out of other people's misery or whatever, but it won't last them forever. Or the person who just had a facelift or a this or a that, all those ego things. How much happiness do you find in the long term in that? Why is it that sometimes the poorest of the poor are sometimes also some of the happiest people? I'm not generalizing, and I'm trying to diminish anybody's problems in their life, but sometimes people with very simple, frugal lives often have much happier lives because there are other things that are more important in life. Those things are inner peace, sharing with others, love, unconditional love. The thing is, Maureen, we have to begin to wake up to the fact that we are spiritual beings, and because we're spiritual, we are also our brother's keeper. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to take care of the whole world. We cannot, as one person, you cannot fix the whole world and save everyone. But you need to do your little bit.
Right.
Like, you're doing your show on a Saturday night. That's your little bit that you're contributing. You know, we all should be contributing. And also, you know, there's this big myth around the fact that it's not it's very unspiritual of you to ask money to do spiritual work. Where on earth does that come from? We are spiritual beings. Everybody's doing spiritual work. Even if you are just a secretary somewhere, or no, let's think of some. It doesn't matter what kind of work you do in the world. You have a life calling. You're doing spiritual work every day. If you're a spiritually awakened person, there's something you're doing somewhere to make the world a better place. Even if it's just painting a picture or writing a song or whatever the case may be. Just smiling at a stranger in the street. That's all spiritual work. And there's no such thing as, but you're not allowed to make a living out of it. What I always say to people is, would you rather, for instance, would you go to a doctor that only practices medicine on weekends? Or would you only go to a lawyer that's only a lawyer on Friday evenings between 6 and 8? And during the week he works in a supermarket. He's a supermarket manager, but on the weekends he's a lawyer. Would you consult that guy with your legal issues? I mean, we all come here with a life calling. And I get quite upset when people say, but how can you charge for readings? You should be doing it for free and giving it away. Yes, and then what am I supposed to eat? Are you going to send me food? Like in the old days, I suppose the shamans and the sages and the soothsayers were fed by the tribe. But, you know, I still have to eat. And surely I can do more good in the world by doing this full time than doing it on Saturday evenings. Mm-hmm. So, yes, we all have a life calling and we all have to do what we have to do. And there's no shame in doing spiritual work for payment. Because it's all just about energy. It's an exchange of energy. And we all have to do something in this life. You see, that's the problem. That's where it's because of this schism, this wedge that's been driven between the spiritual and the material world. Therefore, we can tend to think that spirituality is a separate thing. It's like your sexuality. It's something that belongs in the bedroom. You don't talk about it. It's private. It's something that we're sometimes a bit ashamed of. You keep it behind closed doors. So the same with your spirituality. And I call it the spiritual closet. So that's why people say, you can't charge for spiritual work, because it's a separate thing. It's not part of life. It's not part of our daily human life. It's something special and unique and almost secretive, and you shouldn't contaminate it with dirty money. And money is just a token. It's just something we use to exchange energy with, because it helps us to measure it somehow. Otherwise, we wouldn't know what to charge, or, how many chickens are you going to give me if I do this or that for you? So we need to reintegrate spirituality into our daily lives. And that doesn't mean that you have to sit under a tree and meditate all day. It doesn't mean that you have to wear saffron robes or shave your head, or what else do people do? Wear a rabbit's foot around your neck. You don't have to go totally to the opposite extreme. There needs to be balance. There needs to be a bit of both, because that's what we're here for, to do both.
Right. And I don't know if you're paying attention to some idiot, in the chat room.
I'm not really following the chat room.
Okay, it's good.
Please, if there's questions, please tell me.
No, it wasn't that. This person I kind of had to get rid of, because this is the thing we're talking about. And I'm going to bring this up because I'm telling you, Anton, I think I've spoken to you about this before. I don't put myself on a pedestal, and nor do I think I'm all that. In fact, I'm very dysfunctional. And I've had a hard time in my work. How my work is just not, you and I have a lot of similarities that we've gone through in our journey, and we've spoken hours on end about that. But I do feel that when someone comes in, or anybody in the chat room, and starts questioning, saying that you're just beginning your journey, and they have all the answers, saying, so I started having a little bit of a conversation with this person, and she said, a real master is not a teacher. A real master is an awakener. his or her own function, blah, blah, blah. But then she goes off about saying that men are the ones who are messed up. So it must have been a woman. And I said, well, what about the Dalai Lama and Gandhi? Come on. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? She indicated basically that we all need to, me, you, or whoever was, you and I are on the show. So I said something about how I'm very much of a union. You know, I love Carl Jung. And she goes, you're very much into labels. But she was judging us. And I feel this is really important to bring up. Anton, you can address this. I would like you to address what I just.
Yes,
Do you follow?
let's address.
Yeah. Address this. Do you follow what I'm saying? What she was doing? Okay.
Look, let me keep this short and sweet. I'm just taking a deep breath here. You know, all I can say is the enlightened ones among us usually believe that they have no boundaries. But I would please just ask them to respect the boundaries of others. You know, look, there's this joke of the man that says to God, "Oh Lord, I want peace." And God's reply was, when you remove yourself of the I and the want, you will automatically have peace. It's very difficult for me to respond to that kind of thinking because it would go against what I believe. And that is, we are all supposed to believe what we feel we should believe. This is also covered extensively in my book. It is something interesting. You talked about Jung. It is a concept that was inspired for me by, that I found inspiration from Jung, which he calls the process of individuation. Mm-hmm. Where I believe where we are tend to be going wrong in our modern worldview is that, and that where we've gone wrong a lot of times in history as well, is that there's this idea that for the world to function, to create a perfect world, we all have to believe the same and we all have to be the same. People feel threatened by diversity. Traditionally, we feel threatened by diversity. I mean, if you look at all the big issues in the world, I mean, what are all the wars about? People have wars over religion, over territory, what belongs to me, what belongs to you. People have wars over their worldview, their belief systems, what they believe to be true. What is most human conflict about? It's all about ego. Mm-hmm. It's all about ego. I'm right, you wrong. I'm better than you. I know more than you. You know less than me. It's all about we have to think the same. We have to feel the same. We all have to have this one view. My God is better than your God. My religion, my belief system is better than yours. I know better than you because I've had a better spiritual awakening than you've had. And so we constantly have this sense of trying to pressure each other into believing in the same way because it somehow affirms us. It affirms me. It validates me if I can get you to believe the same that I do. Now, my belief is for us to truly create heaven on earth, and for us to create a truly perfect world, as perfect as we can get it, because it's not supposed to be perfect. Yeah. It never was. It never was. Yes. But as perfect as possible so that we can all have fun and not have drama, is that there must be diversity. If you think about, the thing is what people don't always understand is, why are we here? We are here to expand. We are here to the whole universe is expanding. The scientists will also tell you this. From the Big Bang, from that theory in any case, the universe is currently still expanding. It keeps expanding all the time. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we are all busy expanding. We're expanding spiritually. We're expanding our science, our technology. Everything is growing. It's all about becoming, growing, achieving, striving to be more and better. And the only way you get that process, keep that process going, is through diversity. If you look throughout history, How did change come about? How did we invent new things? How did we discover new things in science? How did we create new ways of doing things? Through being diverse. Because you would always have this crazy person that would come along and say, you know what, guys, maybe we should try this in a different way. Or I've got this idea. I know it's not the way everybody sees or thinks about this, but just hear me out. We have... If you think about the Einsteins of the world, the Richard Bransons of the world, the list goes on and on and on. These people are all thinking differently from the crowd, from the pack. And they changed, they brought expansion, further development. So what do we learn from that? That the opposite is death. Life is about growth and expansion. You see it in nature. Nature has cycles, and there's constant growth, constant expansion, constant striving. Plants grow up to the sun. They don't bury their heads in the ground. And the moment we start coercing each other into all thinking alike, believing the same stuff, we're all little robots, exactly identical to each other, with one mindset, one belief system, all expansion will stop. Mm-hmm. Because there will be no reason to challenge anything anymore. There will be no reason to invent anything new, because we will all be exactly the same. So the diversity, spirituality is about being diverse. And it's okay. It's okay if we believe different things. It's okay for us to have different spiritual experiences. I say this in my book as well. I can never understand why people would worry about somebody else's religion, for instance. Believe what you want, whether it's a religion or a spiritual belief system, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We all contribute in the end. We all came from different experiences. Maybe my life calling was to come and be a Catholic priest. Maybe my life calling was to be a Buddhist monk. Maybe my life calling was to be a New Ager. Whatever the case may be. We all come for different life callings, for different soul purpose, and we should all give it the freedom to express that. We don't need, because somebody said to me one day, I think it was on Facebook, somebody said to me, yes, but the only way that humanity will stand together is if we have some common threat, like let's say aliens attack us, or there's some disease that takes hold of the whole world, or the whole world's economy collapses, or whatever. We have this one common enemy that threatens all of us. That's the only way we will stand together. And I say we don't need that. We don't need to go to those extremes to work together. We can still be individuals expressing our own individuality, but at the same time, we are holding hands. And we are together sharing this wonderful life journey and sharing this wonderful planet that we are on. You see, what I'm saying is, to have a divine life and a spiritually awakened life, you need to express your spirituality fully in your own unique, diverse way. It doesn't have to be like anybody else. No matter what you choose to believe based on your experiences and based on your intuition, your inner guidance system. But there's one condition. You can believe what you wish, do what you wish, go crazy, as long as it is in harmony with your fellow man, in harmony with nature and with your planet.
I agree.
If you can express your being different from everybody else without taking away from your fellow man, or without damaging the planet or damaging nature, or for instance, by being greedy and taking it all for yourself, or whatever the case, or stripping resources, natural resources, etc. If you can express yourself while keeping that golden rule intact, by all means, go for it. What you wish.
Okay, what was the last part you said? If you're saying to those who make a choice, by all means do. I was preoccupied. I want to hear that last part you just said. The very last.
What did I say? I can't remember, Maureen.
See, here's a fun time to begin. Here we go. Anton. So, Anton, in this book, you talk about, I I can't pronounce it because I'm from, you remember Atlantis? The starts the Akash Records. Akash, whatever it's called.
Do you want me to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, because you do talk about that in your book, or I think, or maybe not. I heard you talking about it on the interview, because you said it's kind of,
we have different, because we have such diverse beliefs and ideas and all these things, we have so many different names. And so I'm always very careful not to get caught up in semantics, because we can easily get lost, because then it becomes like my word for it and your word for it. But we often need these words to just be able to communicate with each other. Now, the Akashic Record is a term that a lot of spiritually aware people know of, or people have different names for it, depending on your worldview and your belief system. But the people call it the Akashic Record. They call it the scientists would, the quantum physicists would call it something like the superstring, the quantum field. Basically, there is this. You see, we have 4 dimensions. We have the 3 dimensions, spatial dimensions of space, and then a 4th dimension called time. And those 4 dimensions together is known as space-time, or the time-space reality that we live in every day. But most of us believe, most spiritual people and some scientists, especially quantum physicists, believe that there's a fifth component, or a 5th dimension. Now, some belief systems would call it the ether, the etheric plane. Some call it the Akashic Record, the matrix, the field, the whatever.
Wait, stop. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you say fairy?
Etheric. Let me type it in the chat room for you. Okay, well, it's different ways. I'm not sure which is the American. It's either that
I see.
or...
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Some people just call it ether.
Okay, I'm just curious. I'm writing this down. Okay, great. Thank you. That's very okay.
There's different beliefs about what is it. Is it an extra dimension? Is it a realm, a plane of existence? What is this? Or is it a substance? Because some people believe it's a substance. It's basically. Would be energy, and this energy expresses itself in 2 ways in the physical reality. It expresses itself as matter, physical matter, and as consciousness, our awareness. So, and the Akashic Record is believed to be this huge, all-encompassing, I believe it's all around us. It's not out there somewhere in the sky or whatever. It's all around us. It's a 5th dimension, and it is basically a big cosmic library. It is the field in which everything else is embedded.
Right.
It's like visible 5th dimension in which everything else is embedded. And in the Akashic Record, everything is recorded in a sense. Just like your human DNA. I mean, our DNA, did you know that your DNA carries information from thousands of years ago?
Well,
like with
I think so. I do think so, because I think we're born with a psychic inheritance.
What was Darwin's thing? Evolution. Through evolution, all these different things are recorded in our DNA, and we carry it with us from generation to generation. And the Akashic Record is almost something like that. Everything that has ever happened in the universe is recorded in the Akashic Record. And somebody asked earlier, where do we come from? That's where I believe we come from. We come from that place or that state. So I believe with our soul purpose, what we achieve as our soul growth is concerned, we take this knowledge and insight with us when we go back. And basically, while we are here, we are recording this stuff that we go through, this lessons, life lessons and stuff that we learn. We record these experiences in the Akashic Record. Now, it is also my belief that, like Harry Potter and Clark Kent, we are dumped here on planet Earth without most of our superpowers. Fair enough. We signed up for it. That's what we wanted, because we don't want a fair, we don't want to come here and be all spiritual. But we still need a little bit of our superpowers just to survive and to get by and to manifest and create the things we need to fulfill our life calling and our life plan. So we hold on to a bit of that ability, that metaphysical ability. And therefore, I also believe that we have limited access to the akashic records. So, you know, we're not supposed to have full access because we're not here to be in the spiritual state. But from the human state, we have limited access to help us through this journey so that we can get to our end goal. Because now remember, we've set up this obstacle course for ourselves called our life plan. And we want to finish this course, this race course, before we go back. Now, we need a limited amount of access to the Akashic records. How do you get access to the Akashic records? Because that's what's going to tell you what your soul purpose is, what's your life calling, how does your previous lives affect you, past lives, all kinds of things like that. Future things that are going to happen to you. What is your life plan? And you need to know certain things are predestined for you. How are you going to find these things out? We get that through doing a past life regression. Right. Through that, we access Akashic records. We get that through meditation. When you meditate, you tap into the Akashic record. When you go for a psychic or a medium reading, you tap into the Akashic record. The psychic or medium does it on your behalf. When you read your own tarot cards or have your astrological chart drawn up, you tap into the Akashic record. All these spiritual, when you pray, when you attend a religious service, depending on what religion you are part of, all of that, when your priest or your pastor or your imam is speaking to the congregation in church, he is tapping into the Akashic record. All of that information comes from the same place. There's different ways that we can, some people access it through an altered state of consciousness. They do astral projection, astral traveling. Your shaman would go into a trance and access the Akashic record that way. So there are different ways and through different religions and belief systems that we gain access to that, and we get certain limited amount of information to help guide us along the way. And I believe that we are plugged into the Akashic record at all times because we're spiritual beings, and that is what your inner guidance system is. Now, a lot of people talk about your inner guidance system and they say it's your emotions. It's not just your emotions, it's your emotions combined with your intuition. And how this works is, which your viewers might find interesting, is you are now trying to achieve your soul purpose and life calling. So now how do you know you're on track? How do you know you're going in the right direction? You're not making a mess of it. Or you're not wasting time in your life. You know this by following your inner guidance. That is your built-in spiritual GPS system. It tells you whether you're on track or not. And it has two components. You've got two friends walking on this life path with you. You've got one that's walking in front of you and one that's walking behind you. The one that's walking in front is called intuition. Intuition shows you which way to go. So that's why you sometimes have a gut feeling and you know what, I shouldn't make this decision now, or I shouldn't go down this off-ramp on the highway, or I don't like this person I just met. There's something is not right about this person. You've got that gut feeling, that hunch. It comes to us, intuitive impressions come to us in different ways. Sometimes it comes to us in our dreams. But in any case, intuition tells you which way to go. Intuition says, yes, go left, no, don't go right, etc. Then you've got a second friend walking behind you, and that's your emotions. Now you follow your intuition, you think you're doing the right thing, but somehow you get lost along the way. You take the wrong turn, or you get distracted along the way, and you're looking at stuff next to the road instead of walking ahead. And then your emotions step in and they say, you know what? You're not feeling good. You're feeling angry, you're feeling unhappy, you're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling this, that, or the other. Any negative emotion will tell you that you're not on track. You're not on target with regards to your soul purpose and life calling. When you feel good, when it's a positive emotion, then you know you're going in the right direction. And this is a process that happens every second of the day. You've got your intuition guiding you in front, and you've got your emotion watching you, monitoring your progress, following you behind. And therefore, if you become aware of your inner guidance and you start following your intuition and listening to your emotions, you will make the best job possible of your life calling and soul purpose.
I find, Anton, even though I know you and, I have a lot of respect for you and I know you and I have, good connection to you. Do I? Yes, I do. I love what you're talking about. I do. I love it because it makes a sense to me. Like I said, it's not that I believe in anything or anything like that. It just makes, I identify, and I'm not going to use the word resonate because I don't like that word, but I can identify with everything that you put together and are talking about.
Resonate is a nice word because, we have, because we're spiritual beings, remember, everything is energy, and energy vibrates at different frequencies, and therefore you have a certain resonance. Everything has a resonance. And I always ask, I think I explained it in my book as well, if you... do you remember that game, Maureen, when we were small? I'm sure you also played it, where you use a magnifying glass or just a piece of, like a broken bottle, even a piece of glass, and you start a fire to dry leaf.
Yes.
You would have the magnifying glass and you would move it up and down to find just the right spot where that sun ray is just enough concentrated so that the leaves start smoking. Scientifically, what happens there is that the light wave, and the leaves are at that point, they have a vibrational match. In other words, the vibrational resonance or the vibrational frequency of the leaves and of the light wave is exactly the same at that point. That's why you have to adjust it till you find the right spot. Because if you move the magnifying glass out of that spot, the light wave and the leaves don't have a vibrational match anymore. They don't match each other in resonance or in vibrational frequency. And that is how the law of attraction and manifesting also works. If what you vibrate, the signal that you send out, think of yourself as the leaves. The vibrational resonance that you have is what you will attract back into your life. And the way I explain that is, let's say, for instance, you want to manifest a brand new car. Let's use a material possession because most people can relate to that. You need a brand new car, okay? You really need it, of course. It's not just to show off to the Joneses next door. Now, what is going to be the point of trying to create and manifest and attract this new car into your life if, first of all, you've never driven a car, you don't own a driver's license, you don't own a property where you can actually park this car, and if you could rent parking space somewhere, you can't afford it. You're scared of driving because you had a bad accident with your parents when you were a child, and the list goes on and on and on. Everything about you is just so wrong for a car. I mean, what do you want to do with a car? You can't even drive it. Then people cannot understand why they don't manifest it in their life. You're not getting it because it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to work for you because you can't drive it. So if you want a car, you need to learn to drive. So what am I saying? You need to raise your vibrational frequency to be a match to the car. And that's a lot of people make with relationships. Let's talk relationships for a moment. Sure, a lot of clients, they absolute misery because that special person is just not coming along for them. And they don't understand why it's going wrong all the time. The fact of the matter is, people are sometimes so busy focusing on what they want in a special partner. They've got the shopping list. They sit down, they make this list. I want my partner to be like this, that, and the other. Okay? They have this perfect idea of this perfect, amazing person that's going to come into their life. But they never bother to look in the mirror and say, what am I offering in return? Am I actually a vibrational match to this amazing person that I've invented on paper? And then they can't understand why they attract the wrong kind of partners and stuff. It's because of the vibration that they're offering. You have to be a match to that you want to attract into your life. So if you're constantly a negative person, it's wonderful, amazing partners are attracted to other wonderful, amazing partners. If you wanted a wonderful, amazing partner in your life, you have to become a person like that yourself.
Yes.
Because you have a matching vibration or the same resonance as that other person, and it will just click together. Same with a dream job. You cannot expect to get the dream job if you are not offering the vibration of a dream employee. A dream jobs go to dream employees, not to people that don't offer the same vibration. And that's where a lot of people miss the boat with manifesting as well.
That's a good way. I like the way you put that, because a lot of times people say, well, you told me this about this, but, or somebody says, and I go, listen, maybe I said in a couple months you should be looking. Oh, I sat in my home till August, like you said, nothing happened, but they were invited to do something in July. And if they would have gone, they would have met someone, maybe to meet someone, whatever. You have to, is that what, we're kind of like talking about? You have to.
Well, exactly. Basically to sum it up, it reminds me of a client I had, which she's no longer a client for obvious reasons. She one day got very frustrated with me in a reading, and she said to me, and she almost, I think she did yell, or she was very close to yelling at me. And she said, Anton, I don't want advice or guidance. Just give me the predictions. And the thing is, that's not how it works. If you just want predictions, go to a fortune teller. That's sort of tossing a coin, luck of the draw, what's going to happen. It's more a game than anything else. You cannot have a reading without guidance, because that's what a reading is for. That is why Spirit gives you information. That's why you get access to certain information in the akashic record, is to guide you to fulfill your life plan. And therefore, if you get a prediction like you are going to meet Mr. Right, but you need to remember the following. You need to do this, that, and the other, or you need to change direction, or you need to change your attitude, or you need to do this or that, or you have to move somewhere, for instance. I'm just giving examples off the top of my head.
I know.
There will be some sort of advice or guidance that comes with that. And if you follow that, then the prediction comes true. That's how this works. So, you can't expect to just have predictions and just keep going on the track that you're at. I mean, certain things are not happening in your life because you're going in the wrong direction. And if you want to change that, the outcomes will begin to change when you start changing direction. So you can't have a truly meaningful reading, a psychic or a medium, if there's no guidance. That is what a reading is for, is to receive guidance, not predictions. The prediction is basically just the carrot. It's the carrot that Spirit dangles for you and says, you know what? You've got a life plan. I'm just reminding you, you need to stay on track here. Don't get distracted. Don't listen to other people. Follow your own bliss. Follow your life plan. And if you follow your life plan, this is what's waiting for you, because this is what you planned for yourself. I saw earlier somebody asked in the chat room, do we, if we plan our life, do we plan the person we will marry and all of that? I believe we do. Not always. It's different for every person. But in many people's cases, your life partner, especially with very long-term relationships, people that are together 10, 20, 30 years or a lifetime, though that partner, that soulmate, for the lack of a better word, was part of your life plan. I believe that some sort of a soul contract or whatever to get together in this lifetime. But the thing is, a lot of people miss that. You see, that's what you need to remember here, is your life plan doesn't always work out the way you planned. I mean, the worst case scenario is people that only have their spiritual awakening on their deathbed, which happens a lot. People go through a lifetime. They live for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. They lead the most unspiritual, most disconnected life you can imagine. And then suddenly, a week before their death or the day of their death, they have a spiritual reawakening, because then they suddenly realize, because then the veil starts becoming thin. And then the realization comes through. But I'm a spiritual being. I was one all along. For 70 years, I was a spiritual being, and I never woke up. I got caught up in the material world. And then, unfortunately, it's a bit late to fulfill your life plan. If you were somebody that lived a sort of intuitive life, even though you were not very spiritually aware, you still sort of lived by your gut and so on, you might have achieved some of it unconsciously. While in this, what I call the reality coma, while being in this reality coma, you might have achieved some of it, but you might not get the full whammy.
Well, Anton, I wanted to ask you something. I don't mean to interrupt, but for people like, I only can speak from my own personal, torment, that I find that because of my journey, and I think I've told you my journey and my, trying to exit out alive, emotionally isolated because of the family I was raised in, and still now having issues about how it's so important for me to feel, even with my inner self, or defining myself as being important, or maybe do I have inside, I question, it's a negative, and I think that I bring that out into the universe, I deliberately do that to sabotage myself. But sometimes I feel like, what is it all about, Alfie? No, sometimes I'm thinking, what about people like me? I think you're right. We come into this world with a life plan. But it's like going into college and you kind of decide to go on to another major or minor, right? I'm thinking of it in that nature. Would that be...
That also happens, that some people
Right.
sort of lose track, they go off their path. But I mean, that happened to me.
Yeah.
But I got back to it, with almost like a 20-year detour that I took, but I got back on the road. Look, Maureen, what you need to bear in mind is, I know and you know that I understand because you know my background as well. We've talked about this a lot. So you know that I'm not diminishing it or anything like that, because you know I come from the same place.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I believe that we plan our own lives. That includes, you plan who your parents are going to be. You choose your parents.
Right.
And look, all of the stuff that I'm saying to you and the stuff that's in my book is not just stuff that I sucked out of my thumb.
Yeah.
All of this is based on either personal experiences or stuff I read about other people, case studies about other people. For instance, nowadays with the so-called indigo children,
Right.
you often get reports from parents nowadays that they would have their children. I remember one story that was really stood out for me about this woman that was swimming in the ocean with her little girl. I think she was like 4 years old, 5 years old. And they was playing in the water, and suddenly she just jumped up into her mother's arms, and she said, "You know what? I'm so glad I chose you to be my mother." More and more children are saying things like these nowadays to their parents, and they're too small to have been, somehow instructed to say that, or they wait innocent still. But children are more spiritually aware these days, though. They stay more spiritually aware. And more young people having spiritual awakenings, much younger than we used to in the past. I'm talking like in the early 20s. And a lot of kids remember things like that. Like, I chose you to be my parents. They would make statements like that. So I believe we choose our parents, and we choose it to make our life plan and our soul purpose possible, to set the right conditions for ourselves. That is, so you chose your family. You chose, because the thing is, it's almost like when you go to your timeshare holiday resort.
Right.
I mean, you choose your hotel because you choose this hotel because let's say you want to really rough it, then you're going to choose a really crummy hotel because it's going to be rough, and the staff there are very unprofessional. So, and that's the experience that you're going through. Or you choose a very high-end 5-star hotel because you want have this luxurious experience. That's why there are rich people and poor people. That's why there are people with perfect families, which I don't really think exist. But let's examine for a moment. There are perfect families out there, and then you have people that have not so perfect families. And you know what? They're not supposed to be perfect because they create the right environment
For you to
for
have
you
your
to achieve your life calling.
right.
Now, let's face it, if your family was very different, would you still be doing the work that you're doing
No,
now?
I agree with you. No, and I think, and interestingly enough, I was out of 6 kids. I was only planned because it's Catholic, 4th child. Not only that, it does make sense now, but it was so touch and go. But and I don't have any regrets. And like my father's dead, and I miss him. And later on, I find out how not religious he is. But he was such a spiritual person. It happened to him later. It all came out later, of course. But I think it was meant to be. But I still struggle with it. I need to let it go. Anton, I talked to you about this. Although I know I probably picked this, it was a challenge. It had to be more for my thing, maybe, to come into this. And I'm looking at it that way. I understand that, or I get it.
I'm so glad that you bring this up because, this is something that I'm very aware of at the moment. It's interesting that this is because I didn't put this in my book, and I actually wish that I did, but for some reason it didn't come up earlier, and I believe that things are always as they must be. So maybe this is a second book, or maybe I'll put it in a revised edition or whatever. But there's something I'm very aware of lately, and it's come because of the book. Because people are reading the book all over the world, are sending me emails, they're talking to me on Facebook, and I was reminded of this because it's something I learned about in college a long time ago in university. And I just suddenly realized again that this is the big breakthrough that I think that needs to come as part of a spiritual awakening. Because it's no point having a spiritual awakening, you don't take it a step further. And I believe that the next step in spiritual awakening, after you've come to the realization that, oh my goodness, I'm a spiritual being, I come from spirit, all these things that people suddenly become aware of, the next big step or transition that needs to take place for you to really accomplish your life calling and your soul purpose is for you to shift from external locus of control, which is a psychological concept that you find in psychology, to an internal locus of control. And what I mean by that is you need to have the realization that your life is not the way it is because of other people or outside circumstances. A person with an external locus of control believes that things happen to them and it's beyond their control. Everything that happens in their lives is because of some external cause. It's either other people or the circumstances or the environment or the government or the church or the kids at school that I used to go to school with, all these things. And the person with internal locus of control takes personal responsibility. Like, you know what? I created my own life plan to begin with. I signed up for this. This is the way I wanted it to be. I came here. I'm here now. I'm doing this. I'm fulfilling this plan. And everything I choose and decide to do every day is the direction my life will go. Sure, there are some predestined things that will come across my path that I cannot predict or expect and that might throw me off. But I planned it that way because of the certain goals that I want to achieve. So it's all good. It's all me. It all started with me. And I'm in control here. I'm the one creating my life experience. I'm the one that's creating and shaping my reality. And I'm the one that chooses to live the way I do. Then you have an internal locus of control. And that's why you often, I'm drifting a bit off from your question now, Maureen, but that you often would have people, and once again, don't get me wrong, I'm not diminishing anybody's experience. Let's take something like evil entities or even possessions, okay? Look, those things are very real. They do happen. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
I agree.
Okay, there are like poltergeists and stuff like that. It happens. But it's a very small minority of people that experience things like that in this lifetime. There is definitely something like evil, but I find it almost rude and inconsiderate for so many people that sometimes claim that they, there's some sort of evil entity that's haunting me. That's why my life is such a mess. Or there's some curse on me. Or that, there's something evil that's attached itself to me, and that's why my life is such a mess. That's not stuff you should joke about. Because trust me, if somebody in your family is possessed or your house is haunted or whatever, you will know it. Trust me, you will know it. This is not something that just messes up your life.
Yeah.
You really know it's real. And it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So what are all these other people then talking about? If they're saying, but, there's a curse on me, or there's something evil that's, in my life, whatever. But when you talk to them or we go to the house, find there's nothing. There's nothing. Why do they have those beliefs? I believe they have that belief because they have an external locus of control. It's so much, it's almost like a cop-out, like standing back and say, you know what? I can't take responsibility for the mess that my life has become because I'm cursed. Or there's this evil entity that's haunting me or is attached to me, and that's why everything is going bad for me. So it's once again an external locus of control. Then you have people, for instance, that believe that our lives are controlled. I spoke to somebody recently that said to me that we are a slave nation, that the whole human race is enslaved by aliens.
Yeah.
That resonate with me because I've never once in my life, look, there was a point in my life where I felt very sorry for myself, sure, and I blamed everybody else. It was everybody else's fault. It was the kids in school when I was small because I was very severely bullied. It was my parents, it was the church, the government, because I grew up in a country where the government, enforced segregation. They forced us to be Christian, to white separate, black separate, etc., etc. There were all these rules and cultural values, and you were forced to adhere to it whether you like it or not. And you were not allowed to think for yourself. You had to be like everybody else. We even wore uniforms in school like the British do. We had little uniforms. We all looked exactly the same. I was actually amazed, Maureen, I saw on your Facebook the other day you had a school photo, and it was so cool to me, like all these American kids in the 70s, because that's exactly how we dressed as well, but they were wearing it. You all expressing your individuality and all of that. We didn't have any of that. And so for a long time, I felt sorry for myself because, look, the mess, my life was a mess at one point, and it wasn't going anywhere, and it almost ended in suicide. Well, it got very, very close.
Right.
And I was blaming everybody else because look at the mess in my life that everybody else has made of my life. If only I had more opportunity, if only this was different or this didn't happen to me. And the fact of the matter is you're not going to fulfill your life calling and your soul purpose thinking like that. Mm-hmm. You need to start accepting that it comes from within, that you are the driving force in your life. You, and if you're a religious person, holding the hand of God, or you with inspired by source energy or the universe, whatever you want to call it. But you are an expression of the divine. You are a divine being. And you are a temporary physical expression of the divine. And if you think about what does it mean to be a divine being? You said earlier, Maureen, we are made in the image of God. What does that mean, to be made in the image of God? It means you have divine reason. In other words, you can think for yourself. You can reason things through. You can make decisions. You can create. You have a creative mind, creative ability. You have an ability to see yourself as a separate entity. That's why you do need your ego. It's part of being a reflection of God, is to have an ego, but it must be a healthy ego in balance with your divine nature. And therefore, making decisions and choices in your life, taking control of your life, steering your life in the direction you want it to go in, and doing that while holding the hand of your brother and taking care of the planet that we are all time sharing in, so that there's something left for when we want to come back, or when future generations come. That is what you need to do, is you need to take the reins and stop thinking that it's either demons or aliens or whatever the case, or the government. I mean, all these conspiracies, there's all these conspiracies, everybody's plotting, and there's all these secrets and whatever. The biggest secret out there, the biggest conspiracy out there is that most people do not realize that they are actually the masters of their own destiny. That's the big conspiracy. And that's what everybody needs to wake up to. And that's why diversity is so important. That's why it's healthy for us to have different belief systems and different values, as long as we don't harm each other in the process.
Yes, I think that's a very straightforward way of looking at that, as long as we don't harm anyone in the process. And that happens, it seems like it happens a lot, even within our work with other people, with the other person that was in the chat room, trying to harm, I always feel kind of badly when people are, like I said, I don't like to be called a Jezebel, a charlatan.
You know what? This is also something that's in my book. And something Philip asked me on his show as well. He said, what's the best tip you can give somebody if you have to pick just one tip from your book? Now, actually, I think he was getting, afterwards I realized he was getting at that gratitude is the most important.
Right.
That's the big key that we all miss, is gratitude. Just be grateful for what you have in life.
Yeah.
Please just be grateful. Just be a bit appreciative that you had something to eat today. Tonight, it's tradition with us. We always go and get, you call it takeout. We call it takeaways. We went to get takeout tonight on Saturdays. And there was this boy, I don't think he was older than 14 or 16, sitting on the pavement. Now it's winter here, and we suddenly today had a cold front moved in again. It's been very sort of mellow, the weather, and suddenly today it was so cold. I'm actually sitting next to the heater here.
Yeah,
now this boy, sitting outside the sidewalk in shorts, he didn't even have long pants on. He's a street child. And the most innocent-looking blonde boy, blue eyes, sitting in short pants in the middle of the night on a sidewalk somewhere.
Anton, it's cold. It's cold there now. I want everybody to hear this. It is your winter time there. So everybody knows he's not talking about summer months, right?
Oh, it's because, there's only so much you can do. I mean, there is a place for him to go to, but he doesn't want to go there because there are rules. You know what it's like, because they all usually have drug problems, or over here they sniff glue and things like that. Yeah. So I never give money because I don't want them to go and buy glue or alcohol or whatever. But we bought food for him and so on.
Absolutely.
But things like that just remind you again that there's so much we have to be grateful for. And, light work or not, or who charges what for readings, or whatever the case may be, when you look beyond all that stuff and all the aliens and evil entities that are controlling all of us, when you look beyond it, so just be grateful that you have food to eat and that you have a roof over your head, because that is what divine life is about. It's about a life of gratitude. And the moment you live a life of gratitude, and gratitude is not about being thankful and saying, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's about grace. It's not about grace, having grace.
I think that gratitude in the way you live. And for instance, if you come into a chat room and you start judging other people, you're not living a very grateful life.
You're not grateful.
You should be the fact that computer to first of all listen to the show to begin with. You see, it's a totally different approach to everything. You should come and say, oh, cool, I can listen to the show because I have a computer. Thank you for my computer. Instead of, oh, listen to what they are saying. I don't agree with half of what they're saying. They're not really whatever this person said. Anyway, I drifted off again. But what I was getting at, I have this in my book as well, is get away from negative people. Yeah. Switch your TV, switch off your radio. Don't read the newspapers. Get away from all the negativity and all the lies in the mass media. Because everybody's like in the same hysteria and everybody thinks the same. It's like group think. Everybody's thinking the same. And so they're all feeding each other. It's like a feeding frenzy. The media reports news the way they think the public wants to hear it, because that's how they get ratings and so on. And that's how they sell magazines and newspapers. So they're going to present it to you in a certain way because they know that people lap that up. Now, they are much rather going to sell you some sort of negative story or some sort of conspiracy or whatever, so that you can get all excited about it and you buy the newspaper or you watch their program. So now you might say to me, but how on earth do you avoid all the negativity in the media and all the stuff out there? And because you're going to lose total touch with reality, and you're going to not know what's going on in the world. What if one day there's a war and you don't even know it, and next moment you wake up and bomb went through your living room or whatever? And my answer to that's very simple, and it works very well for me. I stopped following the news and stuff like several years ago. And amazingly, you know what, Maureen, I still know what's going on in the world. I know all the important stuff because I believe that I will attract the necessary information into my life that I need to stay safe or to make a difference in the world. The necessary information will find you.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree because
you can set up an alert on your Google and say, I want a Google alert, anything that has to do with whatever topic you're interested in, or that's important to your career, stuff that's important to your soul purpose or your life calling. If your life calling is, for instance, to be a nurse, and you want to know about the latest development in nursing or nursing homes or whatever, then you set up a Google alert for nursing. And you will get all the stuff that's happening out there. And that's what you need to focus on, is on your life calling and your soul purpose. You cannot save the whole world. Does it really, really matter so much what's happening in China or whatever, if it doesn't affect your daily life directly? Concern yourself rather with your community. Worry about your neighbors. Worry about your local community. Try and make a difference there. Instead of obsessing what other people are doing with their lives, you know. And so the right information will come to you. You don't have to be ignorant and clueless to have a divine life, but don't involve you. I mean, these days, like on social networks, like I've got a very simple rule with that. If you come onto my Facebook or my Twitter or stuff and you leave, I always think of it as, you know how the neighbor's dog often comes and does its business on your front lawn?
Shit's right there. Yes.
I can never understand why somebody would go onto somebody else's Facebook page and leave some sort of...
Yes.
Don't you have a wall? Can't you post all your fear-mongering, conspiracy theories and hysteria and negativity and stuff? Can't you post it on your own wall? Why do you have to come and do it on mine?
If
somebody does that to you, just block them, remove them from your life. You don't need that stuff in your life.
The nerve. Some people will do the negative. You're right. It's like, well, we are colored by our environment if we're around negativity, and that wall stuff you're talking. Facebook is hilarious with that. It's not. I'm not saying it's funny, but
it's nice about Facebook if you social networks. If you handle it in that way, you get amazing information. You meet incredible people. That's why I say it's so easy nowadays. There's no excuse anymore for all of us to think the same and be alike and have the same belief systems, because we can all fully express ourselves these days with the technology we have.
I know.
You know, you want to be part of this group or that thing or this belief system, whatever, you can express, you will find something. Like I just discovered now a few days ago this new site called Pinterest. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's like a pin board that you pin up all the stuff that you like, and you can create a pin-up board for places you would like to travel to, or you can create a pin-up board for your favorite music or your favorite this, that, or the other, or things that, you know, and it's all positive stuff. Nobody has a pin board that says all my favorite evil people, or unless you might be really a bit sort of twisted. I don't know. But there are so many ways these days for you to meet like-minded people, to express yourself, and to share your beliefs and values and stuff. Why, like that person that came into the chat room, why come and watch the show? If you don't like it, just leave.
Yeah, and that's right.
It's one click away. It's one mouse click away. Just go away and go and find a forum somewhere where somebody shares your views, and where you two can sit and poison each other and have this negative conversation about these terrible light workers in this chat room somewhere else. You know, if that's going to make you happy.
In addition to that, this person thought that they were higher on the higher vibrational plane than anybody in here.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's quickly talk. And here, I think here I'm going to maybe blow up a few skirts
It's okay.
when I go.
Go for
But
it.
let's
Go for it.
let's stay strong in the struggle. I personally believe. You always say, Maureen, I believe what I believe.
I know
Okay,
what
well,
I
I
know.
believe what I know.
Only know, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is what I know. And what I know is we tend to bring a lot of man-made stuff into the spiritual side of things. For instance, I cannot comprehend things like that there are different classes of angels. Like you have ordinary angels, and then you have archangels, and all these hierarchies. Hierarchy is a man-made thing. Rank and status and hierarchy, and I'm more evolved and more better than you. That's ego.
Yep.
That is not spirit. The spiritual realm does not know things like status and I'm a more spiritually evolved being than you. There's none of that. If you think about all the things in life, what's all the good stuff we all deep down yearn for when we are in this lifetime? We all want peace, don't we? I mean, how many of us really enjoy being in conflict or having drama with other people or with other nations, being at war? How many of us really enjoy that? We don't. We all want peace. We want inner peace and we want peace with each other. That is our spiritual nature that's coming out in that way. We all want harmony. We all want balance. We all want equality. None of us intuitively like to feel lesser than the other. None of us feel diminished because you are better than me. We don't like that. That's not of spirit. That stuff is all ego. Yeah. It's material, the material self. So that's why somebody comes to me and says, I'm spiritually more evolved than you, or I have a better God than you, or I have a better Bible or religious system than you, whatever the case may be. Or the worst, like in our profession, the worst one you find is, I'm a better psychic medium than you because I don't charge. So that makes me more happy, and that makes me more spiritual than you.
Right.
But that is material ego thinking. That's man-made. We are all divine beings. We are all a reflection of the divine in a physical incarnation. We are made in the image of God. Nobody is better than, and you know what? Go back to the old religions. Go to all the religions, to the prophets from the past. Was this not Jesus' message? Did Jesus not say that we are all the same?
Yeah, that's true.
Remember how they used to, like, they wouldn't allow the prostitutes or whatever. Remember there was a story about the prostitute, and he said, no, but she's, better than her, because the one who doesn't live in a glass house toss the first stone, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and he
sin. It's without sin, toss the first stone. It was the same message with the Buddha. It was the same message with Muhammad. They all had the same message. There's no such thing as I'm better than you, or I'm more evolved than you, or whatever the case may be. And if you're thinking like that, it's not for me to judge. But if I were you, I would go and do some soul-searching, and maybe try and figure out. You see, the problem is, Maureen, my belief is, if you're living a truly divine life and a spiritually awakened life, you wouldn't be really that worried about what other people are doing. Because you would be too busy doing great things and having a great time with your like-minded friends. And like the two of us are chatting here tonight. I know I'm doing all the talking, but the two of us are talking here tonight, and people are listening, and they're sharing with us in the chat room, and we're having a ball. And this is what you do when you have a spiritually awakened life. If you're worried all the time about what the person next door is doing, or who's better than who, or whose beliefs are more real than whose, then there's a problem. There's something missing from your life. That's what I...
Well, Anton, that's good. But, also there's a problem with what other people that don't do this work find, that they get others will get approval for being whatever the case may be from the perspective of a person that's not doing this work, approval and praise and everything, and then and I know this is an ego thing, but then not feeling that you're worthy to get the same from you. Do you follow me? That can be difficult to tackle, for me anyway. Do you follow what?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, that is why it's so important to realign with the divine self.
Right.
Because the moment you are fully recognizing and identifying with the knowledge, the inner knowing that you're a divine being, and that you are an expression of the divine in this lifetime, there's no need for you to feel any less or more than anybody else.
I know approval. I don't need to have exactly.
The thing is, we do get caught up in our daily lives with others judging us or us. The thing is, we often judge ourselves more than most other people do.
Right.
You know, and we tend to be very hard on ourselves. But you see, what you need to remember is you designed this life plan for yourself. And what I'm getting with you is that you very likely built this into your plan, that you set up your whole circumstances the way things worked out for you to somehow overcome this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's part of your soul purpose. It's part of your personal expansion, because your life calling, you're on track. I feel that you're perfectly on track there, and you know it. You're going in the right direction as far as your life calling, your material mission is concerned. But your soul purpose, you sometimes still get distracted along the way.
Yes, I do.
But that's part of the fun, Maureen.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yes, it's
the thing you have to play. And you know what? That's what people also sometimes miss, is that they seem to think that, you know, when you're spiritually aware and you're living this divine life and you are on track, you're following your guidance system and you're going towards your soul purpose in your life calling, everything's going to be perfect all the time. And it's not.
No, it's not.
That would be so boring. That's not what we...
There's no lessons to get. Yeah, there's no lessons.
We have to have winter and summer, day and night, dark and light. For instance, look now how interesting. This person that came into the chat room earlier tonight and said these negative things, okay? It brought a bit of a dark side to the whole evening, right? But are we wallowing in misery over it? No, because look how interesting discussion this person brought up for us.
Actually, you're right about that.
It brought us the most amazing blessing tonight.
Yeah, and I said, you're right, it was a blessing.
Because you came in, and instead of agreeing with everything we said, you came from a totally different perspective, and you said, you know, this is all hogwash, and whatnot, and I'm a better person than you. And look how many times we were able to use that as an example tonight to explain to all the other people who are listening what we're talking about. So this person brought us a blessing, and that is what I say. You need to find the pearl in every dark tear. You need to sing in every curse, because we need the ups and downs in life. And you know what? I'm not diminishing anybody's problems and challenges in life, because trust me, and if you read my book, you will see it's all in there. I myself, and Maureen, I know you too, I've gone through a very long, dark night of the soul. I'm not talking a few weeks, a few months, I'm talking years. I went through what most people would describe as hell on earth. There was a time, in fact, interestingly, in my life, when I used to say things like, if there is a heaven, I'm
sorry. Go on. Go on, Anton. I'm sorry.
If there is a heaven, I'm definitely going there.
That was from your website. Okay. I want to put your website in, and on your website, that came on. You should have noticed that.
Okay. So, and I could put the book as well. And, so I used to say things like that. So I know, I've been through really rough times in my life. I've really had some rough times. So I'm not diminishing and say, you know what, if you've had challenges in your life that, you shouldn't make a big deal of it. By all means, make a big deal of it. But as long as you find the blessing in it somehow, as long as you somehow learn from it, overcome it, grow through it, because you know what? If you've never had a dark day in your life, you will never appreciate a wonderful sunny morning.
Yeah.
If you've never been really hungry in your life or really thirsty, you would not appreciate a plate of food or a glass of water. We need this duality. We need the contrast. Any good painting, contrast, it rich, it makes or gives the depth.
We
And
need
that's why
we need humility too. We need humble. We need to be humble. We need to look at other people that are less fortunate as right, and count our blessings.
yes, and you know what? Like I say, you don't have to save the whole world. You can just do your little bit. We can all just do our little bit. Wherever you are in the world, whatever it is that you have to contribute, we all have something to contribute. Just add your little bit, and the world will be a better place. And for instance, coming into your chat room and dropping a negative comment, you also did your bit, even if you don't know it.
No, I
You
did, and
your
actually,
bit.
I stood my ground with it. I did do my bit. I did a nice bit, and I did do it, and I felt good. But I probably wouldn't have done that if you weren't on the show. I probably would have been tormented by now, So it was a blessing, and also because of the grace that I received of you being with me on here, it helped because I was really nice, and it's like count the blessings. It's an obstacle. If it's an obstacle, look at it as a blessing. Say thank you, and walk and go on about your business. you know?
And like I said, I think that person really enhanced our discussion tonight. Thank you. Everything is as it must be, and everything is good.
Yeah, everything is good. It'd be good if you came out to California.
Well, I might just take you up on that.
Well, Anton, don't you have any book signing to be doing? I mean, after a while, I have a feeling you're going to be doing. I have a feeling you're going to be authoring more. And everybody, like I said, I have not yet read this book of yours, but like I said, I know it's good from what I've even been hearing, because your writing is great. And
well, you need to get one because they're flying off the shelves. I'm actually very, very blessed. I'm very, very appreciative of, because look, I really, honestly, initially the plan was just to write like a sort of a manual or a guide for my clients that I can use, in my practice. And now it's sort of taken on a life of its own, and I'm absolutely surprised because I never realized that it would do so well so quickly. I thought, I might have a few sales, with clients and with people, friends, and that kind of thing, but I never imagined that it would take off like this, and it's really doing so well, because I read a lot, about other people complaining, saying, yeah, but you have to do so much promotion, so difficult to get sales, and once again, the lack consciousness and all the complaining and the negativity. And I thought, what, I'll probably sell 10 or 20 or 30 books and that would be it. But it's moving so fast. It's unbelievable.
Well, Anton, like I said, this was, what did you call it? What did you call it in the making? People talk a work of in our. What do people call it when they're working on something in progress? You remember a work in progress? How you used to say it? People would say, "Oh, how are you ever going to get a book done?" Remember last year or whatever it was? He says it's a work in progress. Is that the word he used? It's a work.
It was a work.
Yes.
For a long time.
So really, Anton, it was, and there it is, and it's in it. It's, I'm sure, even though I have not read it, I'm being honest, but what we talked about, what I heard your other interview, I really am looking forward to sitting down and having a good read with it, and I'm looking forward to, I know, another book, and I think the title is great. It's a little bit, it's longer than just Divine Living, but I'm really happy to hear it. You deserve that it's flying off the wall, like we're flying off the, whatever it's flying off of. Fly away.
The wall is.
Well, Anton, I guess we're out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to tell anybody before we go?
No, I just want to say, just have fun, enjoy life. It's a ball. It's the most amazing experience. So just have fun with it, and don't let other people spoil the ride for you. Turn your attention elsewhere. If somebody comes along to pull you out of the zone, then just keep doing your thing. As long as you don't let anybody else do your thing, go.
Yeah, and Anton, you are. Well, you know how I feel about you. And I'm looking forward to August 2nd, the show you're going to be on, which is a different format, as everybody knows. Maybe, yeah, everybody in here I think knows. And August 2nd, the day after our birthdays. That was my birthday.
on that show. Otherwise, we won't get around to half of your questions.
I know.
You're going to have to pay me in.
I'm getting on you. No birthdays. I know Doug says no birthday for me either. And you can see in chat room, everybody's really happy. And I'm really glad you came on. And I'm sorry I couldn't get you on because with your video because you did look very nice. And I hope you didn't men don't have to spend too many hours there. But I think...
comb my hair and just put on a decent shirt,
okay,
that's all.
I guess it's lucky for you guys. It takes me about 20 hours to put this face on. Anton, so if anybody would like to, the information's in there and his everything else. Also, this show will be up on my show page under archives, and for the show to be viewed again, and also at live stream. Eric, are you still here? Dr. Jim. What is it? Live stream? Maureen? Tarot Vision? I don't know. You can also go over to my live stream. I better put that up on the other thing. But and as well, Anton, if you want to keep this, I'll get this, for you. And I so appreciate you being with me here tonight. It was wonderful for me.
It's awesome. I really enjoyed it. And it's amazing how fast the time went by.
I know. It's great. It's great. And I think you're the bee's knees in the cat's pajamas.
Maureen, it's time that you start telling yourself that as well.
Well, okay. Whenever I say it to you, then I'm saying it to myself. So look for it on your Facebook page. And that's not negative. You're the bee's knees, and I always like that term. In the cat's pajamas.
Just don't come and leave any boogers on my Facebook.
No boogers for me to you. No boogers at all. Okay, you guys. I guess I'm gonna end with a song, and here it goes like this. There it is. You'll like this one, Tom. Can you hear me? Can you hear it in the room? Here. It's a great song. This isn't working. Oops. You have the thing on. Are you listening to it?
I started it now, but it's very slow.
Yeah, I guess we both started now, but and I like this song because it's talking about moving. Stevie Wonder song, "We're Living in Pastime Paradise." Tell me who are we? It's a really great song to go with the show. It's called Pastime Paradise. Look it up, Stevie Wonder. Fantastic. It talks about segregation. We really need to, Anton, you're fantastic.
I didn't talk too much because
Anton, this is all about you. I really think you are. I love the way you articulate. You're just fantastic, and people are commenting. Anton, if you want this show or whatever, if you like it, look through it. I'm like I said, I'm sorry I couldn't get you on video, but you saw it in this. I was changing a little bit of the look. So let me know if you wanted to download it. I guess
I would like that, yes.
Yeah, you can actually do that from live stream. I'll send you my live stream.
I know there is software that you can get free, a free trial you can download it with. So if all else fails, I'll just do that.
I think Doug might have that too. Doug might have that.
But I missed this whole thing now in the chat room. What actually happened with this this person that came into the chat?
I copied and printed it because I wanted to make sure I saw it just in. It was a blessing. You know why? Because it gave me the opportunity to really step it up. Because if I was by myself and they were screwing with me with this, here it goes. I would have been more insecure than anything, but because it was you here. Okay, here it goes. Who decided there were exactly 3 things? Remember you're talking about 3 things that all started like that. Then it says, what does this have to do with tarot? And I didn't see this part. So Anton is into material. She goes on. Anton is into material stuff, so he is giving his book away. I said, Anton is in the chat room. I read this. Ask him, but I think it is reasonable to be able to pay bills and such. And then this other person comes on back to me, and says, we're souls in a giant virtual reality. This is just mumble. Giant virtual reality social experiment. And every time the men are in control, they are F, blah, blah. Okay, they are fucked. They fucked the planet up. And then she says, luckily the women get the planet back on 12/22/20. I didn't read this part. 12. Okay, the end of the world time. Okay, then she says, enjoy your VACA till then. What does that mean? VACA. What's that mean? Vacation? I don't know. And then and then Charo says, Anton is a great speaker. Love it. And then Julie says, I agree. Then I said, yes, Charles, you have something to say. The guest comes back and says, I think it is time to share information and healing gifts for free. If you truly believe in what you preach, you should be able to manifest money without selling healing. I say, I do, guest, as I do a show here every Saturday night, 2 hours, and I do free readings. And she says, that's wonderful, Maureen, good for you. And just a snip. And then I said, go to the doctors, and the last time I looked, it cost me big, and I put dollar signs, because I'm trying to explain her shut the fuck up. And then, then she couldn't shut up. And then she says, doctors rarely know, she's not even keeping on track, maybe she's a friend. Doctors rarely know how to heal, and I really want to live in a society without money. Okay, then she goes off on a tangent. I said, well, guest, in a perfect world, I would as well love to say, in fact, but this is not so. Then she says, then she says, Maureen, it will be that way again soon. And then I said, then she says, the more light workers who believe and practice, the faster it will happen. And then she says, Anton sure makes a lot of sense. She said something snippy here. Anton sure makes a lot with capitals of absolute statement explanation. He needs to research the mega something law of attraction. And then I say, I give more than I materially received in the last 25 years of my professional work. I said, better yet, deliberate attraction. And then she goes off. Edgar Case gave away over 10,000 healings for food and gifts. He is one of my heroes. I said, guest, you have strong convictions with what you are saying. May I ask what you do in work? Gone Fishing says, what do you do, guest? And Gone Fishing is my dear friend Georgia, Anton from, elementary high school. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Here, I'm almost finished. So Georgia intervenes, and then everybody else.
So
So then she says, I play all day. I'm a full-time manifester. And then Georgia says, do you show other people how to do that for free? And then the guest says, I heal and anchor the light codes on this planet. A human dolphin. And yes, if they will listen, I tell all I know, and I never charge for record. And then Charlotte jumps in and she says, Anton, are things planned out as far as that? Charlotte was getting into it, but she just went back to you. Then this guest says, ignore it. With so many people who don't even have homes, I spend my time praying for forgiveness of debt and restitution of wealth. Well, that's saying she's materialist, doesn't it? And then she says, this is a group effort. And then I say, okay, everybody's listening that way. I'm giving you. I hear lots of ego tonight, she says. I said, well, the dolphins here on my beach outside where I live say I am doing well, and sometimes not, but to take care of my daughter's college and so on. I don't know, I misspelled something. Because I do have dolphins. And she puts down with a little star, and then she says ego. And then I say, without body and image. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. And then she says, there are people in the streets marching for free college. It really pissed me off when she said she shouldn't have my daughter. Join them. And then she goes, it's time to think globally. I said, guess, do you have a child in college? And I said, and who will make a big difference? And then she says, this guy is on the right track. This pissed me off. He's just in the beginning of his journey. Wait, let me turn this thing off.